What up? It's me, Josh from the Average Josh podcast, coming back at you again with another video. And damn, I called that one totally wrong. So I just got done watching the Tszyu versus Tony Harrison fight, and Tony Harrison just got his ass whooped. That's really all I can say about that. I mean, I thought that the jab would be more effective. It was not. Tszyu just walked right through that jab. I thought that he would have better ring generalship, but he did not. He was unable to stop Tszyu from constantly cutting off the ring. And I thought that he would have enough power to keep Tszyu off of him, but that seemed to also be wrong as well. You know, the tough Aussie Australian just kept coming and coming and coming. And once he got, Tony Harrison against those ropes, which he was constantly against the ropes because the ring was so small, he just beat on Tony Harrison's body, beat Tony Harrison to the head, and they got the stoppage in the ninth round. And also there was a time in the third round where he clipped Tony Harrison with the right hand, where it really looked like the fight could have ended early in the third round. Now, with this taking place, like I said, if Tszyu won, especially in the manner in which he won, it was going to make the JERMELL CHARLO fight even bigger, because no one, including me, or just no boxing analysts that I pretty much listen to, have Tszyu winning the fight with JERMELL CHARLO. But I think this fight with Tony Harrison, seeing how he just easily dispatched Tony Harrison, I mean, very easily. It didn't even look like he had any trouble with him whatsoever. This makes the fight against him and CHARLO way more interesting, because it seems that they may be closer in ability than people may have initially thought. Now, another thing with this fight was that Tszyu, he was very poised throughout the fight. He didn't seem to be shook. He didn't seem lost in the moment. He seemed extremely confident. And honestly, from the way that he was talking in like the press conference and in like the special, it seems like he almost has like this vendetta, not so much against his father, but against his father's legacy, to really establish himself as his own man, to really establish his own legacy and put his own stamp on the sport. And you saw that when he won, he got in the ring and he said, "What's my motherfucking name?" He said, "Say it." He's like, "Tszyu," you know what I'm saying? So it was really an interesting fight to watch, man. It was very one-sided. Wasn't as entertaining as I wanted it to be, because I really don't like one-sided beatdowns. But it definitely does make things more interesting for the future, because now that we have, Tszyu thoroughly beaten Tony Harrison, it definitely, takes a lot of the doubt out of my mind that we weren't going to see like a really good fight against him and CHARLO. I think that now, after seeing that fight, and I haven't sat with it for too long, I just got finished watching it, I see maybe the CHARLO fight going similarly to the Brian Castano versus JERMELL CHARLO fight. Even though he was able to cut off the rein on Tony Harrison, it doesn't really seem like Tony Harrison was the same Tony Harrison that really fought CHARLO. It seems like, I don't know if it was just due to the fact that he's been knocked out 3 times previously. I don't know if it's due to the fact that he doesn't have his father really in his corner or training him anymore. I don't know if it's due to the fact that the ring was really small, or if it's just due to the fact that, Tszyu is just a much better fighter than all of us thought, really. But with all that being said, I think that Tszyu still has some flaws that he needs to work on. Like, I didn't really see him, working his jab a lot. I didn't really see him, being slick defensively, like he was getting hit when Tony Harrison actually decided to throw some punches, because he really didn't throw a lot of power punches other than just that jab. And I think that CHARLO has a very good jab, a very good power jab. I think that CHARLO also has a lot more power in his right hand than Tony Harrison. CHARLO also is better at fighting off the ropes than Tony Harrison. CHARLO also has the ability to fight off the back foot a little bit better than Tony Harrison. He used to not always have that, but that's something he added to his repertoire, especially after that first Brian Castano fight. Cool. And it's just interesting to me to see how that fight's going to go. But there's one thing that I'm not about to do again is I'm not about to completely underestimate Tszyu ever again. I mean, he came in there, he did what he was supposed to do. I don't know how much of that was just Tony Harrison not living up to his potential, or Tony Harrison just being at the point where he should retire. Because the man this is his 4th KO loss. So it's kind of like, you know, it may be time for Tony Harrison to hang it up, because he's not going to get another fight with CHARLO. It's already proven that he has no chance against Tszyu. Also, you have guys like Sebastian Fandora out there who, if he doesn't have the punch resistance to take a punch from Tszyu, then I doubt he has the punch resistance to take a punch from, Sebastian Fandora. And then also there's other guys out there like Erickson Lubin, who I'm not even sure if he's still fighting, because that last fight with Sebastian Fandora was like brutal, and they both took a lot of punishment. But Erickson Lubin, he can crack as well. So I don't know if there's really anywhere for Tony Harrison to go at 154 pounds that will lead him anywhere where he would want to be, to where he'd be back at the top again. So it might be time for him to hang it up. Also, he's getting hit a lot, and getting hit a lot, taking a lot of KO losses. That's definitely damaging for you in your career, because after a point, once you get KO'd too many times, what'll happen is your body will notice that you're getting in all these fights. So your body will actually start making it easier for you to get KO'd, because your body's going to shut you down, just so that, you don't take much more punishment. So it'll make it even easier for you to get knocked out. But yeah, it looks like the end of the road for Tony Harrison, and, that's really all I gotta say about that. But I'm definitely looking forward to the fight with him, CHARLO and Tszyu, and I'm definitely looking to see what Tszyu can do. And I think that that's going to be an excellent fight. It's going to be a much more better fight than I anticipated it would be. But But anyways, on some better news, I checked the box rec for Miss Chanel Dargan, the person I was talking about in the last video I wanted to win, and she seemed to win by a unanimous decision. Obviously, I didn't watch that fight because they don't show the undercard here in America, which I hate that about Showtime. It's because they give you a fight, right? And they're like, hey, you can have this good fight, and it's not pay-per-view, but you don't get to watch the undercard. There was this guy who was fighting previously at light heavyweight, right before Tszyu and Tony Harrison. I think his name was like Aosuke. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but that fight seemed interesting. It seemed like it was like his 3rd or 4th professional fight, and he was already in there with the veteran, and he pretty much dispatched him easily. And from the highlights, it looked like it was a really good fight. And I would have definitely watched that fight if they would have put it on Showtime. But instead, like right before that, they had on some show about Panama or something, and then they just went straight into an interview with JERMELL CHARLO, where he was talking about the fight, and we pretty much missed most of all of the undercard, and we only got to see half of that last fight, which seemed like a pretty good fight. I would have loved to, watch that young man fight instead of just sitting there, waiting for the fight to come on. But yeah, Miss Dargan won, that undercard fight. The half of it that I did see, it was entertaining. I know that Sean Porter was calling for him to, get a knockout that he didn't end up getting. But I mean, it seemed like from what I did see of the fight, it was very entertaining, and and he had a good showing of himself. And I did see where near the end of the fight, he did get that knockdown as well against his opponent. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking forward to see what happens at the 154 division. I'm looking forward to see what Tszyu can do against CHARLO. I'm looking forward to see if Brian Castano can come back and have a good fight against one of the top contenders. I'm looking forward to see if Erickson Lubin can come back. I'm looking forward to see, especially with Sebastian Fandora, because like that young man, he's so big and he's so tall, and he has such a weird fighting style where he's so linky, but he only fights on the inside and he doesn't use his length at all. That's someone who's like kind of hard to train for, kind of hard to game plan for. So I would love to see how, that would go if he was able to get into the ring with Charlo, if he was able to get into the ring with Tszyu, and especially if he was able to get in the ring with Brian Castano, because like Brian Castano's like one of the shortest people. I think he's like 5'7", maybe 5'6", and then you have Sebastian Findora at 6'6", so they would literally have like a foot height difference. So that would definitely be interesting to see. But yeah, overall, shout out to Tszyu. I know Australia is gonna like party tonight. They're gonna have a couple brewskis, man, a couple tall ones, just have a good time, man. And y'all should definitely enjoy it. You have a great young up and coming contender there, and I'm just looking forward to see what else he can do. But that's all I gotta say about that, y'all. It was a great fight. Well, not really a great fight. If you're Australian, it was great to see Tony Harrison get his ass whooped, but it wasn't really much of a great fight because it was one-sided. But that's not Tszyu's fault. You can rest that on the shoulders of Tony Harrison. But, hopefully Tony Harrison is fine. Hopefully he's not injured too bad. Maybe he could come back. I think that it might be time for him to hang it up and maybe focus on developing young fighters, and developing fighters as a coach, similar to how he's doing with Alicia Baumgartner. But yeah, shout out to Australia, shout out to Tony Harrison, shout out to Tszyu, and I'm just looking forward to see what's in the future. That's really all I got to say about that. I'm out.